Hey y'all, thank you for tuning in. This is Queen J with Let's Get Uncomfortable. And I told y'all before, we're going to start each episode with a little bit of a mindfulness. All right, let's get into it. Pause, breathe, relax. It is now time to open our mind to be receptive to new things surrounding healing, especially within this lifetime. All right, y'all. I really hope that calmed y'all down and allowed y'all to really feel just really feel at ease. Because this next topic that we're talking about today is a little heavy. Trigger warnings all around. Trigger warnings all around we're going to be talking about potential past relationships, including and not limited to abuse, emotional, mental, physical, self-sabotage, just all of those ugly parts of healing. Basically, in short, we're going to be talking about those today because, as y'all know, I did a little sneak peek and I said that today's topic was going to focus on unshedding our past selves and relearning who we are now and unlearning the trauma that we've experienced, and that also means unlearning the role that we played in it and all things like that. So the first thing I want to touch on when we're talking about this is extremely personal, this portion of healing. Of course, healing in a nutshell in itself, the whole healing journey is personal. But this particular aspect of healing allows you to dig a lot deeper than what you were actually thinking you would have to dig. It pushes you to dig deep and really look at yourself from a past perspective, from a past lens, and say, okay, is this who I want to be? And if it's not who I want to be, then how can I be better? And what that does is it basically puts all of your dirty laundry like times 10, and you gotta like really focus on, okay, so I don't want to do this anymore, or I now see this goal for myself. And it all comes back to setting those intentions, right? But the big part of unshedding our past selves and really digging deep is all about understanding and recognizing, like, one, if it happened to you when you was a kid, it is not your fault. That shame, that hurt, that pain, the reason why I can say this is because I've been through some shit in my childhood and I carried it all. I'm going to say this collectively. We are not the people that should be carrying that shame and that pain and those burdens. Those are not our burdens to carry. So first we got to unshed that, unlearn that it was our fault, unlearn that, retrain our minds and things like that, of that nature. Second, we have to be willing to also see that although we were children and that we didn't ask for it, whatever it was, we are not to carry the blame, or we are not to carry the shame. What we do as an adult is on us from our childhood. I'll say that again. What we do from our childhood, what we do with that, what we basically grow into and start to project onto other people as adults, that is on us. Because yes, it was childhood trauma, and yes, we are healing from it. Yes, we are all going through our own things. But when you then decide to intentionally cause someone else pain because of the pain that you experienced, that's something we have to hold ourselves accountable for, whether it was intentional or unintentional. Because the simple fact that we can tell our younger selves, and we can be there for our younger selves and say, you didn't deserve that. You did not deserve that. And you didn't. But as adults, we also have to understand that there are a lot of us that have gone through traumatic events that are still healing and still growing. And that doesn't give us any right to just project what we're going through onto others and not care how it affects them. That's the part that I say is difficult when it comes to unshedding and unlearning our past selves, basically, because we're so used to that survival instinct. We're so used to, okay, I'm gonna push this person away before they get close to me, or we're so used to our survival instincts that we don't realize that as we get older, unintentionally or intentionally, again, we could just be living in survival mode and could unintentionally mess something up because we're living in survival mode. We're acting upon a fear, or we're acting upon an anger or a need that hasn't been met because we haven't vocalized it. And that's another thing. Oftentimes, at least for me personally, I can say this from experience, oftentimes I was very outspoken as a child, and I was very animated. I was very vocal about things that I didn't want, things that I didn't like. But because I was in that space of a child, I wasn't heard. So, of course, like I said in the first episode, I grew up into believing and thinking that your voice doesn't matter. Your words have no power, you know? Come to find out, that's not true at all, but that's how I had felt. So oftentimes when I am unlearning my past self or unshedding those past habits that I used to do, I have to really talk to myself and say, no, you are powerful. No, what you said made sense. Don't back down. Like, I have to stand on what I'm saying. I have to stand on me. I have to believe that what I'm putting out is good energy and that the good energy will come back to me. But because of my past self, because of the trauma that I have experienced, it has been difficult for me to actually even do this, to be doing this podcast and being so vulnerable with you all and saying, like, from a personal perspective, healing's fucking hard. Okay? Healing journeys are hard and they are very unique and individual, so they're not one size fits all. And that's why I say this is the hardest part when it comes to healing, because that is like an everyday thing. It's not just like okay, I'm gonna wake up and boom, I'm done. I've healed. I'm done. If only it worked that way. But when it comes to shedding those past traumatic triggers or shedding those past traumatic instincts that we've grown accustomed to, the biggest thing that I have learned that has helped me, and I literally have been battling myself with this for weeks, if not months. So I have recently been through a lot of, I'm going to say this in quotes, a lot of loss, and discovered that I have an attachment to abandonment. And what I mean by that is I have grown so accustomed to people, quote unquote, leaving my life or showing me that they weren't meant for me or whatever the case, that 9 times out of 10, I'll either be like, oh, it's someone new, and I'll say, they're gonna hurt me anyway. She's gonna hurt me anyway. He's gonna hurt me anyway. So what's it matter? Or I don't even give the person a chance to prove me differently. And so I will call that, for me personally, I do call it an attachment to abandonment, because the thing is, it's not that I'm afraid that you're going to leave. No, I already have it in my head that you are going to leave. So why get close to you? And that's the opposite of, oh, I'm afraid that they're going to do it, so I'm going to just do it to them. No, it's actually more like, well, okay, you leave. But here's the thing. I've been battling with this for myself. It's all about changing your perspective. I can't tell you enough how much this one sentence has shaped my whole outlook. Shifting my perspective has allowed me to see that, first of all, I don't only know the trauma that I've experienced, because that's often what, you know, we warriors of traumatic events often say. This is all I know. How can I be in a healthy relationship when this is all I know? How can I be healthy when this is all I know? But the thing is, it's not all we know. It feels like it's all we know because that's how we were raised. But as adults and as people who are actively trying to heal and actively trying to be better for themselves and for their future generation and for their families, but most importantly for yourself, it's not all you know. You have to literally take a look at, okay, yes, this may be all I knew, but it's not all I know. I now know that people love me. I now know that I got people that I can count on and I can call them up, and I'm not a burden, and it's not my problem. It's not my fault. And I may get emotional on this episode just because it touches me so deeply. But because it's all about a shift in perspective. I can't tell you, there's this whole situation that I recently just had to shift my perspective and realize that person didn't leave me. That was a blessing. Call it what you want. That person did not leave me. It was a blessing, because after the loss, after the heartache, after all those feelings, I was able to pour back into myself. And it's often through times of distress when you don't pick up on the reality of a situation. You can see something is so bad for you, and because you see the good in that person, you want to hold on, you want to help them come to their potential, whatever the case may be. And this is my past self. This is me telling y'all flat out, this is my unshedding of my past self, truly. Because when I look back at it, all I ever noticed within my old self was that all I did was be there for people. You needed me, I was there with a drop of a hat. I drove to you. I would text you. I would call you. But the whole time, I wasn't giving back to myself. I found myself giving and giving and giving, but I didn't have nothing else. Like I said before, I did not have anything else to give. And I didn't have anything else to give to myself either, because I thought it was so wrong of me to like doing stuff for myself. I like getting my nails done. I thought it was so bad that I like getting my nails done. I thought it was so bad that I like chilling and watching movies and being in my own company because I didn't want to be around other people. Listen, y'all, I can go on and on about that. But I say all of that to say that these are past versions of myself that I am learning to let go of. When I say unshed, I mean release it however you need to. And this is the hardest part, because the thing is, we're always going to have that little gut feeling of, ooh, this could be bad, because our brains are so accustomed to traumatic ass shit that nobody taught us how to unlearn that when we got older. Nobody taught us how to unlearn that after it fucking happened, because this is the reality of the situation. Oh well, it happened. I can't tell you how many of my friends have come to me and said, I don't fucking get it. I don't get it. I don't get how it could just be, it happened. Hell, I've came to my friends and said the same thing. How can that be that this just happened? Like, what am I supposed to do about it? How do I process that? And one way you process it is by writing out all of your feelings. I mean, whatever thoughts you have around the situation, whatever thoughts you have around yourself, as long as they're positive around yourself, as long as they're positive around the situation, doesn't matter. It's a way of releasing it. It's a way of saying, I'm not giving it power anymore. That is an old version of me that I will no longer allow to exist. I'm not going to exist in fear. I'm not going to expect danger. I'm not going to expect that. That's just not what I'm going to do anymore. And sometimes you're going to feel your past self, you're going to feel your inner child say, well, why did they do that to me? Why did I experience this? And in those moments, you just need to hold on to him or her and say, I'm sorry. I was there. I heard you, and I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that shit, and we ain't ever gonna go through that again. Just hold on and make a vow to yourself that you'll never put yourself through that. You'll never steal yourself wrong. Never. And this unshedding is an ongoing journey. Like I said, it's not a one and done thing. You'll find yourself realizing that you don't like certain stuff anymore, and you'll realize, oh, that's connected to that. Like for the longest, just to be real, I couldn't eat fruit for the longest. Hell, I couldn't eat for the longest, if you want to be real. And the reason why I couldn't eat was because when I experienced my incident as a child, we'll just call it the incident for now. But when I experienced my incident as a child, and I kept experiencing that same incident, I was sick to my stomach. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. But the big thing was that I love food, and I could not eat. And it was very obvious to everyone around me that knew me, were like, why aren't you eating? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just not hungry. But you haven't eaten all day. Nah, I'm not hungry. But you gonna eat? Nah, I'm good. And I could feel my body shutting down, but I couldn't speak on what was happening because it felt like every time I spoke, no one cared. You know, nothing was done. No action was done in an effort to help me. It was almost like, whatever. You're a child. You're making it up. Whatever they could say, you know? But I say all that to say that you're gonna find these little things, and they add up, they do. But these little things, we have to be able to go back and say, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not doing the self-sabotaging. I'm not doing the self-pitying. I can feel my feelings. I can process my feelings. I can talk about my feelings out loud. But here's the thing. In this effort to get to the best version of myself, to be healing in this lifetime, I'm not going to allow it to control me. I'm not going to fester and harbor all the pain and the shame and the guilt that someone else put on me. Because that's just not right. I'm doing myself a disservice by holding on so tight. That's just not right. So I give that back to you. And that's that. You have to be able to communicate with yourself and say, damn. Like, especially when your brain likes to, we all have this moment where our brain like to come up with some embarrassing ass stuff from like years ago. And we're like, oh, why am I spiraling right now? But it's interesting because that is a part of shedding your past self. It truly is. And it's so hard to do that because, like I said, no one teaches you how to do so. No one even tells you what the benefit you get of shedding your past self. The thing is, people are so afraid of growth and change because they don't know what's next. I was afraid of growth and change. I didn't like it. But here we are. Let's get uncomfortable. Let's talk about it, because the thing is, we can't heal unless we are uncomfortable. We can't grow unless we are uncomfortable. It's just not possible. I remember when I first started my healing journey, and it's the last thing I'll say, the last topic I'll touch on. And it'll be a segue into the next episode. But I remember this sentence when I was down bad. I mean, at my lowest. I was sad. I couldn't talk to nobody. I was isolating. I was doing all my self-sabotaging. I wasn't eating. I wasn't sleeping. I was self-destructive beyond repair. And there was one sentence that stood out to me. You cannot heal in the same place that you got sick in. I'm going to say that again. You cannot heal in the same place you got sick in. And I'm going to tell you why. The reason why you can't, and I'm realizing this like real time, like right now, you can't do it because that environment is toxic. That environment has already proven to you what it is. It's not going to change. No matter how hard you want to put it in little bowls and you want to put stickers on it and make it cute, it's not going to change, because the fact of the matter is, the reality is, it's that space that caused you to feel this way. It's not just the people in that space. It's that space. You're never going to feel welcome in a space where you didn't feel welcome. You feel me? You're never going to feel welcome in a space that excluded you. You're never going to feel understood in a place that constantly wanted to misunderstand you. You're going to be seeking their approval. You're going to be seeking that space's approval. You're going to be like, oh, this is my test. I have to do this. I have to do that. And it's funny because I'm shedding this right now. I literally was just going to do something huge last week, and I kept seeing it as, oh, I'm being tested. Well, I failed because I didn't do it. Somebody shifted my mindset so quick and said, why don't you see the fact that you released the inner demons that you've been dealing with as your test? Why can't you be proud of that? Shift your mindset. And it really does all come back to shifting your mindset, because when you think in a negative lens, when you think from a perspective of, okay, this person's going to hurt me, I'm not going to get close to them, or when you think in that perspective of what's the point almost, you're stunting yourself. You're stunting your growth. You're telling yourself, well, we don't got nowhere else to go. That's it. This is where I'm going to stay. You may not be doing it intentionally, but it happens because, logically speaking, if you keep looking at everything from a negative lens, that's what you'll see. That's what you'll see. And you will miss out on the positives. I kid you not. I look back, when I have my hard days, I will text my best friends and I'll be like, I love you. I know this is random. I'm emotional. I'm vulnerable, but I love you, and I'm grateful for you, and thank you for showing me what love feels like. Like, really, because I remember those days when I didn't have anybody, when I wouldn't want to get out of bed. I remember those days because it's not like they were that long ago. I may be processing stuff naturally, and I may be doing my yoga and doing my routine and pouring back into me, but that doesn't mean I still don't have bad days. I do. It just means can't talk. It just means so much more when I know that I have friends that I can actually come to and say, I feel this way. And I'm sorry if I'm burdening you. I still say that. But the thing is, you were only a burden to those that didn't want you. I feel like a lot of people can relate to what I'm saying, but you were only a burden to those that were never supposed to be there. They bullied you, if they harassed you, if they made you feel anything less than what you are, they aren't for you. Man. This podcast get real, y'all. These episodes getting real. I'm sharing a lot with y'all. But I say all of that to say that when we venture into the process or the aspect of our healing journeys, and we have to unshed those past versions of ourselves, it can be the most difficult thing that we have to do because we're so used to it. We're so accustomed to pain. We're so accustomed to feeling invaluable. We're so accustomed to people silencing us that it becomes normal. And healthy shit scares the fuck out of us because we're like, whoo, I don't know what you do. I don't know this. I don't know this. And it's the truth. We don't. But we will, as long as we may not be accustomed to it or as accustomed to it as we are to the trauma, to the chaotic atmospheres that have had our sympathetic nervous system up and down on a roller coaster, that toxic adrenaline and stuff. We may not be as accustomed to the healthy, sustainable, stable environments as we are accustomed to the chaotic, unstable environments, and that cortisol release, that stress hormone be getting us, can turn into a little drug if it want to. But that doesn't mean that it's not around us right now. Just because we are so accustomed to looking at something with a negative lens doesn't mean that we need to pretend that the positive isn't circling within. I'm going to say that again. Just because we're so accustomed to the chaotic and the pain that lives within doesn't mean that we need to pretend that the positive doesn't also live within. We have to be willing to let the love that is actually real and genuine in. So when you think about unshedding and unraveling and really digging deep and doing your inner reflections, think about the end game. Peace. The final result is peace. That's it. Thank you for seeing and hearing me. This has been Queen J with Let's Get Uncomfortable. Episode 3.